Hello everyone, it's Tracy. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks very much for joining me. Today I'm doing the assembly tutorial for the Advent birthday gift box. I did make one of these previously and I shared that in a project share video, but I'm going to make another one today for the tutorial, and this one's going to be for my daughter. The die set for this gift box and the cutting file have been designed by Nicole Silhouette here on YouTube, and I shall link her channel in the description box below. If you're looking for the die set, you can get that from the LOOOVE store, and I will link that in the description box below. If you have an electronic cutting machine, the cutting file is available from Nicoles Etsy Store, and I'll link that in the description box too. Now let's get on to the die pieces. This piece here, you'll need to cut 8 of those, and it is one of the biggest pieces in the set. And it goes with this piece here, which has a piece in the center which is separate when you get the dies, and you'll need to tape it like I have here, because you need the hole to cut out of this piece. So you'll need 8 of those as well. And we'll be using one of each of these pieces to begin with the tutorial. Moving on, these pieces here create the inner box, the bigger box that goes in the middle of the Advent. You have this piece here and you'll need to cut 4 of those. This piece here is the edges to the lid of the box, and you'll need to cut that twice. These smaller pieces here, there's 4 of them, and they are the decorator panels that go on this piece. So you'll need to cut those 4 pieces twice. These 2 octagons here represent the lid and the base of the box. So the lid is bigger than the base. So those outer pieces there, you'll need to cut 1 each of those. One's the top of the lid and one's the base. The remaining pieces that were inside are liner pieces, one for the lid and one for the base, and you'll need to cut 1 each of those. The next lot of dies are decorator panels. This piece here is the decorator panel that goes on that part of that piece there, as I'm showing here. And if you're putting them on both ends, you'll need to cut 16 of them. This piece here is a decorator panel for the front of the Advent gift box compartments. And the right way up is the curved corners, so that's the top. And you'll need to cut 8 of those. This piece here is a decorator piece that comes in the kit, which is lovely, and I've used that on both of my Advent boxes, and you'll need to cut 8 of those. And then we have the numbers, and obviously you just cut that once. There are some other pieces in the die set which I haven't used, and that's these ones here. There's also this piece in the set, and I need to tell you a bit about this. This is an incorrect piece that the seller has created by mistake, so I can't actually use it because it has a cutting line on the inside as well as the out, so it'll just cut a hole. So we're not going to use that. I'm going to show you how to make one right now, just with using cardstock. So the measurements you'll need for this piece is 4 1/8 of an inch by 3 1/16 of an inch. And you'll need to cut out 8 of those. And use your corner rounder to round the corners. And that makes a piece exactly the size of the die. You'll also need to come in 1/4 of an inch and put a score line and fold along that line there. I did just hear today though that they have corrected the die piece in the set, so if you do order it, you will get the correct piece and you won't need to make one by hand. This is the paper that my daughter has chosen. It's from Craft from the Morning Dew collection, and this particular piece is Rejuvenate. It's not a piece of paper that I would choose for myself, but this box is not for me. And that's what it looks like on the other side, which she didn't like, so we're going with this side. Moving on to the construction now, and we're going to be using these 2 pieces from the dies. The bigger piece there and the piece with the hole, and we're just going to take some care here and line it up. I went ahead and put adhesive double-sided tape on all of the tabs that need to be glued. It is actually easier to put the compartments together using double-sided tape. Whilst the piece is flat like this, it's an ideal time to put your decorator panels on. The decorator panels that I'm going to be putting on are for the top, the bottom, the two sides and the back. We'll leave the front for the time being. This is the decorator panel that goes on the top and the bottom of the compartment, and this is the die piece that cuts it. For the top, bottom, sides and back, I'm just using white cardstock that's been embossed with a dots embossing folder. Those two pieces have been cut to go on the two sides, and it's 5 1/4 by 2 1/4. Those are the measurements of those rectangles, and you'll need 16 of those, and they'll go in place like that. Then there's a piece for the back, and that measures 5 1/4 by 1 3/4, and you'll need 8 of those. Now for the front of the Advent gift box, this is the decorator piece for that. There's also a fallout piece. We're going to hang on to that fallout piece because I'm going to use it in the decorating, but that would go there. And as I said, the more rounded corners go at the top. So I'm going to glue all those into place, which is what I'm doing here. And whilst I'm doing that, I'll just quickly tell you that this Advent box that I'm making for my daughter is for her Sweet 16, which is in August. And as it happens, this box has 9 compartments, with the biggest compartment being opened on the 9th day. Her birthday is actually on the 9th of August, so it's a perfect thing for her. So she's going to get a little present from the 1st till the 9th of August for her birthday. The big present obviously going in the big box. So that's all my decorator panels glued into place on the compartment. Now we're going to put the compartment together. So I'm going to remove the release papers from the adhesive. And you just start at one end and one side. This goes together very easily, as you can see. And you just press that into place. I did find it a lot easier putting these compartments together with double-sided tape. Glue just got too messy. And you have to wait for it to dry. So once you've done one side, you can go over to the other end and glue those sides, or put those sides together, as I'm showing here. And the good thing about paper is you can bend it around to how you need it to be. So once I've got those together like that, I'm going to burnish where the adhesive is so it gets a good stick. So now we're going to seal up the top and the bottom to the front. This all lines up beautifully, which I've said it before, I'll say it again, it's a credit to Nicole and the way she designs her files. And then we've just got that last tab to put in place there, so I'll just remove the release paper and do my best to tuck that in. You do get a little bit stuck to the tape, but hang in there. It is better than using glue for this particular part. And we're just pressing in from the side, and this is why we don't put the door on just yet either, so we can get in there. So I'm just making sure everything's all stuck down well and lined up nicely. Again, those curves face the top, and that's our compartment done. So we need to make another 7 of those. So I'll let you go and do that, and I'll be back. So here are my 8 compartments. They don't have their doors on yet. We're going to move on to that next. But they're all done and finished. A little bit time consuming, but that's okay. So I'm just going to put the compartment to the side there, and we're going to work on the door, and we're going to get our piece that we've already cut out. It's going to look like this. There's going to be a mirror cardstock layer, followed by that fallout piece. I've also trimmed that down too. And then we're going to put this pretty little panel on. Then I'm going to get a little white rectangle piece that measures 1 1/4 inch by 1 3/4 of an inch that's been embossed with the dots embossing folder. I had a die that was that size, so I used the die, but you can just cut that. It's a simple rectangle. And then the number will go on. So that's what we'll do now. So for the mirror board layering piece, if you wanted to make it the same way I have, you need a piece of card, mirror, whatever, 3 3/4 of an inch by 2 7/8, and you'll need 8 of those. And you'll round the corners. As I mentioned before, I'm going to use the fallout piece from that front panel, but I did have to trim it down a little bit, and I've trimmed it down so that its length is 3 6/8 from the top to the bottom. It's about 1/8 of an inch that you cut off. It's not very much at all. What you do want to do if you're using the fallout piece is to make sure you're putting the right fallout piece back onto the right one, because then it looks more consistent. So I'm going to go ahead and glue my mirror layer piece onto the compartment door. All of the layering pieces I've created for this box are all giving a nice 1/8 of an inch border. So I'm only putting that piece down to the score line, I'm not going past the score line. Then I've got that fallout piece and I'm gluing that on the top. It's the only thing with glue, you've got to wait for it to dry. Then I'm going to stick this panel on. I haven't added any dimension either to any of these pieces, as I don't think the box needs it. But you might, it's entirely up to you. You could put foam tape in between these layers if you wanted to. So I'm just going to glue that into place. Centering it up the best way I can. That's where glue does come in handy, you get that little bit of wriggle room. Then I'm going to glue this little rectangle on. And stick the number on. Making sure it's straight. And that's what my compartment door is going to look like. Just going to give it a little bit of a burnish to make sure everything's stuck down well. Now to put it in place onto the compartment, I'm going to remove the release paper from the adhesive, which is put on the back there. I'm just going to take care to centre it up and line it up along that bottom edge. Just come down about 1 millimetre so you've got something to line it up against, and then just press it into place. And there's our compartment door on our compartment. I also decided to put a strip of the metallic mirror board there along that bottom edge. I just felt it needed it. And that's 1/4 of an inch wide and just cut to length. You can do that or not do that, it's up to you. So that's our compartment finished and the door opens. Now I'll talk about the magnet that I'm going to use for the closure a little bit later. So you can go ahead there and decorate your 8 doors and put them on your 8 compartments. So I've gone ahead and done all that. And the compartments are all looking really nice. And the more I'm working with this paper, the more I'm liking it. I know now why my daughter picked it. It's totally her colour and her design, as in what she likes. So moving on now to the big box that goes in the middle of the advent. We've got our 2 octagons here, one of the big one and the smaller one. And we've got our side pieces. And we've got the actual sides of the box here. So we're going to put the lid pieces and the base piece aside for the time being, and we'll work on putting the sides of the box together, which I've gone ahead and put double-sided tape along the glue tabs. So I'm just going to remove the release paper from the long tab and taking care to line it up. We're going to join 2 of the pieces together, and then we'll join the 3rd piece to the 2nd piece. Again, taking care to line it up so that it's straight. I'm just checking to make sure it's looking okay on the other side and that I was being straight. And then I'm going to get the final piece and stick it to the 3rd piece. Going to give it all a nice burnish, make sure all the glue is getting a good stick. And now whilst it's flat, it's a good time to put the decorator panels on. And I'm just showing you that I'm going to alternate mine. the designer paper and the embossed white pieces. The measurements for these pieces, all of them measure 6 3/8 of an inch by 1 3/4 of an inch, both the patterned paper and the embossed piece. So I'm going to go ahead now and glue all those panels into place. And they've measured so that they have a nice 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. And if only I could glue that quick in real life. So we're just getting these last panels glued into place. And I'm liking the way this is looking. So I'm going to fold it over, make sure it's all nicely burnished. The glue's not quite dry yet, which is why the paper looks a little bit buckled. So I'm just going to fold it and join the piece together. Push it down onto my work surface and give it a good burnish. And this creates our octagon sides for our box. So I'm going to take the smaller octagon and I'm going to attach it to what's going to be the base of that box. So I'm going to remove the release paper from these tabs. And how I like to put these in place is I like to put one on one side first, get that attached, and then swing it around to the exact opposite side and put that one into place. When you do this, it makes sure that it goes into place without becoming crooked. That's what I found anyway. So once I've got that into place, I'm going to swing back around to the other side and do opposite sides like that until all the pieces are glued down. And that's how I find that it goes together really well and the pieces stay in place, they don't get out of whack, if you know what I'm trying to say. I've just got my other hand in there on the inside and that's helping push against my right hand. I'm just taking care to make sure the pieces line up, and as you can see that bit didn't. So I'm just making sure that it's in place properly. And this is where my pokey tool is invaluable here, because I can get in under. You don't have to do it this way if you don't want to, but I've just found it's easier for me. And then I know it's going on straight as well. Just got that last bit there to do. And that's our bottom in place. Making sure that's all getting a good stick. And what I like to do now is I get one of the layering pieces, that smaller layering piece, and I'm going to put that down inside, and that gives the bottom of the box some strength. And if you wanted to put another decorative layer on the bottom of the box, you could cut another one of these and put it on the bottom, but I don't think that's necessary for the bottom of a box. No one's going to look at it there. But if you want to, you can. So I'm just putting that into place carefully, using my poking tool there to just push it into position, and this will cover up the tabs on the inside, make it look a bit neater. Just pressing it down, making sure it's got a good hold. And as you can see, you can decorate that with a layering panel if you'd like, but I'm not going to. So moving on to the lid, we're going to get these pieces here and the larger octagon. I'm going to join these two pieces together by removing the release papers from the adhesive on those smaller tabs and put them together like so. Then we're going to attach this piece to the octagon, one tab at a time, like how we put the base on, and this ensures that it all lines up nicely. So I'm just taking my time here, just doing one tab at a time. It is a big project, this advent box. It does take up a fair bit of your paper. It's not a 5-minute job, so take your time, and the results will pay off in the end when your project looks amazing. So just getting those last tabs into place, and it's all fitting together really well. And then we'll join this up with that last little tab. There we go, fit perfectly. And join it together. And that's our lid done. So I'm just going to turn it over and press down on the inside to make sure the glue has got a good stick, even though it's double-sided tape. And I'm going to get the layering piece for this octagon and glue that on the inside to give the lid a bit of strength. And push it down. Now on the top I've got these little decorator panels, and they're going to go around the sides, and I'm going to alternate them with the mirror board and the patterned paper. So I'm going to quickly put those into place. All the way around the lid. And once they're all in place, I can move on to putting the layering pieces onto the top. So it goes onto the box like this. And the first time you put the lid on, it's going to give you grief, but hang in there, you'll get it. It does fit perfectly. So to do the top layering pieces, I've got a layer here that I cut from the layering octagon pieces. It was the largest one, and I cut that from the mirror cardstock. And I also cut one from the smaller one in the decorator paper, which I'll show in a second. And that's going to get glued onto the top there of the mirror board. You could of course decorate yours any way you like. I'm just pushing that into place. As I said, that's the thing with glue, you've got to wait for it to dry. But it would be a lot of double-sided tape, so glue's more economical. So I'm just placing that back onto the box. Fits better that second time around. And that's our main big box done. Now I'm going to walk you through putting your magnetic closure for your compartment doors in place. The glue I'm going to use is the Ranger Multi-Medium in the matte, and I've got these little tiny magnets. So I'm just prizing 2 of them apart, and I'm going to put it onto my scalpel, which is metal, and that's going to assist me in holding it. I'm then going to put a dab of the multi-medium in the matte onto that magnet, and using my scalpel it's going to assist me to put it into place on the inside edge there. And I'm also going to push it and hold it with my fingers until the glue gets a little bit of a hold, which doesn't take long. Just take your time. And you can just see there that it's in place there. It wouldn't be stuck yet, but it's stuck enough so that I can continue on. I'm just making sure it's in place. And then I'm going to get the other magnet and stick it directly on top of it, and it will hold, the magnetic field will hold it in place. I'm just making sure it's in a good position. And then I'm going to close the door and make sure it's not poking out anywhere. Then I'm going to put some glue onto the top of that other magnet there and close the door onto it. And push it into place. And then I'll put it aside to dry. And you'll do that with the rest of your compartments. That's how I put my magnetic closures into place. So we've got our compartments here and we've got our main box. And it's time to start thinking about putting this all together. So I've got some double-sided tape here, it's 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to put a strip of it along the top and along the bottom. And I'm going to do that on all of the compartments. So I won't bore you with all that. So once all of the compartments have the double-sided tape on the top and the bottom, it's time to put the ribbon on. I'm going to remove the release paper from the tape. I'm just going to do the top first. Make it easier for myself. I'm going to give myself about a 12-inch piece on the end there so I can tie a bow. And I'm just going to stick that in place. I find double-sided tape the best thing to stick down ribbon. Glue seeps through. So I'm just going to go around the edge there of the top, removing the release papers from the tapes and putting the ribbon in place. When I do the bottom edge, I'll actually show you the view in a different way. Other than this top from the bottom looking down, you can't really see anything. So once that's all on, I'm going to tie it. You can see I've got a fair amount of overhang there. Wanted to make sure I didn't run out. And then I'm going to trim the ends. So now I'm working on the bottom. I have already exposed the adhesive. And I'm just attaching the ribbon piece by piece as I go around. It's easier to do the bottom edge than it was to do the top edge, because the top edge being done is holding it all together, which is why I couldn't do this view to do the top. So just slowly working my way around, making sure the adhesive is sticking to the ribbon, and we'll tie this off into a bow. And we'll trim the edges. And it's looking good, it's nearly finished. So I just have some decorating to do, and I'm going to put some flowers on it, some flowers from Kaisercraft, and some more special decorations which I'll show shortly. The box in the middle does lift in and out quite easily, which I'm just showing there. And the compartment doors all open nicely as well with the magnetic closure. You could do a different closure if you like, but to me the magnetic closure was a no-brainer. I wanted something quick and easy. So my daughter's going to be pretty happy when she can open a present every day till her birthday in August. And she's into things like makeup and skincare, being a 15 turning 16-year-old, which is easy to put in those compartments. So here's my finished gift box advent. And I've done it Sweet 16. Now with that Sweet 16, I did design that in my cutting program and cut it with my Silhouette CAMEO. And I think it's a nice touch. And it makes it that little bit more special. I've got it stuck on the back of a lollipop stick there and just glued onto in between the flowers there. And I've put the flowers at the top of those little decorator pieces there, and I think that's a nice touch on the compartment doors. It is decorated very similarly to the one that I shared a couple of weeks ago, but she wanted one that was similar to mine but not the same. So I'm super happy with how this came out. So the box in the centre comes out. So we can put a big present in there. But truth be known, it's probably going to be money because that's what she likes. And I've got the 9 there as well, making that's the last box to open. So she can't open that till the 9th of August. But I might put her favourite chocolates or something like that in there with some money. So let's open out the Advent, which is very easy to do. You just undo the ribbons. Says me, and it looks like I'm struggling, but I'm not really. So it all opens out like that. So I'll turn it around. And I've done my numbers 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You could do it the other way if you wanted. But that's going to be going on our low line TV unit. And that's pretty much the order I want her to open them up in. And I love the way that it just curves back around. You do it back up. Tie your bows. And pop the big box back in the middle. So that's my tutorial finished for today. I hope you've enjoyed watching and that you feel inspired to make one of these birthday gift box advents. They're so much fun to make, and they're such a unique way for someone to celebrate their birthday with a 9-day lead up to their birthday. Don't forget to check the description box down below for the links that I've previously mentioned, and if you'd like to subscribe to my YouTube channel, I would really love that too. Thanks very much for watching today. Have a great day, and until next time, it's bye for now.